Hi, YouTube. Welcome on in. Thanks for being a part of this journey. Everyone here on Twitch, everyone on YouTube that's come and joined us. I can't thank you guys enough for the love and support. I've seen some people try and DM me, and I've ignored all DMs for the past week. And I'm going to be straight up with you guys, right? DMing me because of, especially on Twitter or whatnot, because you're like, hey, this is a funny meme. Cool, right? Sure, I'll laugh along with you. But trying to actively, be like, oh, you'll never guess what the rat is on fucking Twitter. I'm just gonna ignore it, brother. I'm just gonna fucking ignore it from that point on because I assume that something major is gonna happen in the episodes to come that you're gonna try and spoil shit. That's the main element. Is I've stayed off of Twitter completely. I've stayed off of all social media for the most part, aside from streaming here on Twitch or on the Discord, because at the request of my mods, thank you Nick, thank you Mickey, thank you Cough Me, and everyone else, it's been like, just stay off of social media. Just focus on the Discord, stay off of social media, because there's a lot of people out there that are going to try and spoil. But nonetheless, I'm super duper interested. Ladies and gentlemen, color me fucking hyped. I love Mushoku Tensei. It's one of my fucking, one of the best shows out there to be able to go and take in and analyze and, break it on down. Let's go. I was just about to touch on an aspect of this. No! You can't do this to me! It was literally just a clock ticking. You can't do this to me! That's exactly what I was going to touch on, right? In case you guys were wondering, this Friday, I went to this whole workshop for, essentially once you get your degrees and, you've been in the field, you have to take continuing education courses in order to maintain either licensure or be able to work with clients or 1,001 things. When we're looking at something like this, the whole workshop revolved around narrative imagery and the aspects as to how we go ahead and derive meaning from external memories or outside events or even our past, right? What do we try and tell ourselves when we hear certain stories, right? So something that comes out from this is, if I were to ask you, right, I want you to recall a memory of something traumatic that may have happened to the best of your abilities, right? Tell me that story. Some of you guys, you'd start off and you're like, you know what, this, and this happened, and you'd start going through with it. But here's my question. Is that the truth? Or is that what you're putting in there, right? Filling in the gaps of what may be in there with perceptions as to whatever that may actually mean for you. For example, the clock was ticking. I was standing perfectly still looking at blah, 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 talk about blah, 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 so on and so forth, because we're giving meaning, right? And we change events to fit our perspective. Past that comes in the next aspect. It's a cognitive distortion that we do, that our mind does to try and heal from it. Because it can be even more traumatic than what you're letting it out to be, or it can just be like, it's a memory. It is what it is, right? But comes in the next, and I think the key aspect to do this, right? How can I call it traumatic or just victimizing myself? And in essence, it's like, how are you putting yourself in that narrative, in that story, and why, right? That comes in the next aspect. Okay, let's talk about this. Time and grieving. Have you ever lost anyone? Yeah? What does that do for you? How do you grieve? And did time feel different for you? Did it feel like you were stuck in place? That maybe you relapsed, that maybe you reverted, that maybe you were crying like a kid, because sometimes that's what we do, man. Sometimes it's really fucking hard, Did you get a chance to grieve? If that, or was work in society like, no, you got to keep going. You can't have time to breathe. To grieve, to breathe, to be able to process shit, right? What did grieving look like for you? Because it looks different for every person. And this is something that I've been a huge, pushing forth in the field itself, which is yes, we acknowledge in the field of psychology, we are acknowledging more and more the cultural diversity aspect of things. However, there are still a lot of people out there, for example, I guess I can share this, at least on my side of my family, grieving can be very loud, can be very open, can be full tears, whatnot. I had a buddy of mine who came to my uncle's wake and whatnot, right? He's another psychologist and whatnot. And we were sitting down, and him, very logical, cold-minded, he's like, wow, this can be like hysteria, can it? And I look at him and I'm like, this is why you don't have a lot of individuals or that come and try and be a part of your sessions, because you're immediately jumping in to labeling a part of the grieving process as hysteria instead of people being able to go out and let go and being empathetic. That's the main aspect through it, is we all grieve differently, culturally, sociologically, due to family, due to the way that whatever, right? All of us have different forms of grieving. And I think that's the most important aspect of everything. Even past that, let's talk about another subject. Grieving and vulnerability. How many of you guys and girls, and everyone in between, have been told not to cry? Have been told that if you cry, you're not a man, you're not a woman, you're not a person. Real people don't cry. Real people shouldn't cry. Real people shouldn't do certain things. Real people shouldn't express themselves. No, yeah, no llores, mijo. No llores, mija. No hay nada por qué llorar. I tell myself that. Why? And if you tell yourself that, right, or otherwise, why is that, right? How many of you got that? I genuinely ignore them. I cry pretty freely. I do too. I'm a big crybaby, as you guys can tell from some of the episodes in here in an apothecary where I got smashed and was fucking crying like a little kid. It's mainly in the region. It's mainly to cry. But why is that? Why do you guys think that is around, right? A lot of it comes from the aspects of what vulnerability means for people. A lot of people put being vulnerable as being weak. Does vulnerability mean being weak? And in an essence with Rudy, here's what I fear. This is what I fear. Rudy might think that grieving is vulnerability, is a form of relapse, means that he's weak and he hasn't changed. Means that he's weak and he hasn't grown. It means that, yes, he's grieved, he's felt vulnerable, he's relapsing, and oh my God, am I weak? Can I truly even sustain anything? What can I do to heal? Oh no, am I really going to go through the same things? What am I going to tell Norn or Aisha? How are Norn and Aisha going to look at me? Oh my God, there's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of guilt in here. What are we going to do? I have to be the head of the family now, right? What about mom? What's going to happen in that regard? What about like Norn and Aisha and Sylvie? And, there's all these things all intertwined all the way through this, right? And the main thing is this. Is he going to relapse? Does that mean he's weak? That he's not meant to be like leading the family in that way? And is there that survivor's guilt? Which there absolutely fucking is. Absolutely is. Anyway, just looking at the clock and looking at the like imagery that it's trying to go ahead and portray, time's moving on, but sometimes we stay perfectly still and we reflect inward. Fuck, dude. Anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and continue. Apologies.
あの時の両親は俺を心配していたのだろうか。彼らは死ぬ間際、俺のことをどう思っていたのだろうか。真実はわからない。
This is the first time we get to see their faces, huh? This is breaking my fucking heart, man. And I'll tell you guys why. Do you guys think that after Rudy locked himself in his room that he actually saw their faces? Or is just his representation of maybe the last time that he saw them, and how they look like, and, sort of like that sort of a process for them. Like he never properly grieved for them. Yeah. He probably barely saw them. And it's probably a big aspect as to how he remembers them. They look pretty young. He had to go pee in showers, so probably saw them every now and then. But at what point did you have your most interactions with the person? Like, for example, when you think about someone that's passed away, how do you remember them? Do you remember them at their later stages of life, or do you remember them at some of the best moments that you had with them, or maybe some of the moments that really stick out with you, which tend to be a little bit, before the end of life segment in there? Yeah. A mix of both.
そして俺は葬式にも出ず、両親の骨も拾わず、何をしていたのだろうか。
And they say Mushoku Tensei isn't about growth. And they say Mushoku Tensei isn't about fucking growth. Rudy the pedo. This whole show's a fucking pedo show. Literally. A whole fucking, the entire aspect of, the author beautifully bringing this back and touching on elements of, hey, you know what? He's reflected on how he fucked up. He's looking back on this moment, and it's pretty fucking key. My man has reflected on it, dude. My man is straight up just what the hell was they doing? It's beautiful. It is beautiful, and it's powerful to see a fucking character do that and genuinely introspect and think about it. That is fucking great.
あの時の俺は悲しいと思うほど両親を愛してなかった。でもせめて 葬式ぐらいは出ておけばよかったんじゃないか。死に顔ぐらい見ておけばよかったんじゃないか。
かばうんなら俺みたいなまがいものじゃなくて
Oh,
ノルンとアイシャだろ。ゼニスにリーレもいるじゃないか。4人も置き去りにしてどうすんだよ。お前の一番大切な相手じゃないか。
これから先どうすればいいんだ。教えてくれよ、パウロ。
お前は本当に頼りになる息子だ。
oh. Why you gotta hit us with
これは
this?
自分がパウロの子供じゃないと思っていたのに、パウロは俺の父親だったんだ。
Here's what I fear. Well, welcome to, I guess, depression arc again. Yeah, I laugh because I'm like, fuck, dude. Every single time we see him start improving, we see him start doing something, just like in real life, a relapse happens or something happens that brings us down. And I know, Depresso Espresso, yum. Depresso 2.0. And this hurts differently, though, right? Like, one of them is being depressed because of love, because of, miscommunication, because of all this. The other one is being depressed because of grief, right? Because of losing someone, because of survivor's guilt. Here's what I fear. Let's say that the chair is Rudy, right? Anybody in a grievance state is usually in a lot more vulnerable position. A lot of people in a vulnerable position, what do? Why do you think that a lot of psychologists, a lot of therapists, a lot of the mental health field in general, try to prep people for grief? There's a whole aspect of end-of-life therapy, of what grief and whatnot can look like. Why do you guys think that is? A lot of people, when they're in this grief vulnerable state, this is some of the key elements where they find, aside from relapse, they find stuff to take their mind off of things. This is where a lot of like addictions and stuff can be formed because people fall heavily into trying to be dependent on something, right? Or someone else. People can absolutely start turning into like sex work, can start turning into like drugs and alcohol and 1,001 other things out there because grief in a big way pushes. Yeah. It's part of the 6 F's, right? Fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flop, or fuck. Essentially. Like, you'll go through one of the 6 F's if you're vulnerable. If you're at that grieving process, you might go through the entire aspects of things. And even past that, hold on. Alcohol is the worst. Yeah, I mean, for some people, it can be comfort. Especially waking up with, like, I've seen people literally drink themselves to the point where, like, they wake up and, yes, they have the world's worst hangover, but that's the only thing that takes away the pain for them, right? Is causing self-harm in that same way. Where is he? In the wheel, and he could be in a mix of like touching some of it, right? But give him all the symptoms. But comes in the main aspect, disintegration. Did I say disintegration? Where do you guys think that he's gonna go through this? Is he gonna recover or is he gonna deteriorate? Is he gonna deteriorate or is he gonna recover? Because look, in deterioration, there's already guilt, no positive, negative emotions. Yeah, so B, sometimes disassociation is what a lot of people do to feel numb. To not feel anything. Like they'll say, oh no, I'll be fine. Everything will be okay. Actually, I think he's already at deterioration. He might be. When people deteriorate, they start the process all over again, but this time with more symptoms, right? Crying, loss of appetite, sleep disturbance, self-criticism, guilt, physical symptoms, hyperventilation, difficulty swallowing, difficulty breathing, sweating, nausea, vomiting, so on and so forth. They might just go through the grief wheel again, and that's perfectly okay. Here's the thing. It happens. It happens, ladies and gentlemen. Grieving is a normal part of the process. Grieving, we all grieve differently. We all fucking grieve differently. And sometimes we have to go through that wheel 4, 5, 6 different fucking times before we're able to go and start recovering. Yeah, whoever read Disintegration might be into something else. But with that being said, what a phenomenal fucking opening. And what a good way of showcasing Rudius's mind. And I sort of do wonder if any people are going to have any criticisms or actually genuine question for you guys, because it'll bring up a reflectionary moment on this. Has there been any criticisms or did people not like the fact that Paul died? Like, and by like, I don't mean like, oh no, they were sad, but I mean like where people just like, oh, this is a stupid story, Pete. Rudy could have gotten out of the way. Paul could have, like 1,001 things. Like, this is how you know Mushoku Tensei's a bad whatnot. No, not really. I didn't like it. Very few people. No criticisms of Paul's death, at least for me. I've seen. Yeah, there were a few. Haven't seen any. Okay. So some people are saying yeah, some people are saying no. I thought the episode was fucking amazing in the way that it was done. We have to remember, Rudy is not Paul. Like, some people were expecting Rudy to just be like, fucking like insta teleportation or some shit. And it's like, no, Rudy's not Paul, like people seem very confused exactly as to why Rudy froze, but not on Paul's death. Well, and that's the main element is like, you have to remember at the end of the day, they're very different people. And even in battle, like, count the best fucking fighters that we know, people freeze. But Paul died because of Rudy, so it just kind of stood there, but nobody called the show or the episode bad because of it. Okay, sure. Glass cannon. Anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and continue, guys. Hey, yo.
ルティ、いいですか？
Bro, he's not even eating, is he? Look at his face. Look at his fucking face. It looks like he's just like they even put a little like line on the side. Oh.
気分転換に私と出かけませんか？ほら、この街はまだまだ面白そうなものがありますし、先日のようにまた一緒に見て回りませんか？
いえ、そんな気分では。
そうですか。
すいません。
Roxy, you can't back down. I hate to put it this way. There are points and times where sometimes, like, I feel like he's, like, if left to his own device, he'll just keep grieving endlessly in that setting, right? It takes people reaching out and grabbing you sometimes out of your deepest, darkest funk and allowing you to take that next step. Like, Roxy, push forward. You can't allow his first barrier wall to be the only thing there. Like, you cannot allow, like, the first wave of resistance from a person to stop you from fucking going forward. You need to take that step the same way you made him take the step to break the first wall when he was a kid. You need to fucking go right over there and be like, nah, we can get through this together, You have a support network. We're here for you. Let's take that fucking step. Let's go, Rudy. Let's fucking go. Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay to grieve. It's okay to be sad. But let's do certain things. I'm here for you. Don't keep it all for yourself. Like, Roxy can be such a major agent of change if she positions herself correctly. In an appropriate manner. Roxy, hold on. I don't think you needed to lock the door. I'm scared now. Wait a minute. Roxy. I don't think you needed to lock the door. Oh no. You said I said, yeah. Also, I just noticed there's no opening. No! There's no opening! No! No! Ladies and gentlemen, watch him fuck it up! Oh no! No! More screen time? No, that's more pain time, brother. Whenever something comes in and there's no fucking opening, it means that we're in for a world of pain or something major is gonna happen.
失礼します。
Okay.
パウロさんとゼニスさんのことは残念でした。私もブエナ村で一緒に暮らしていた時のことはよく覚えています。私にとって一番幸せな時期だったかもしれません。冒険者をしていると身近な人が死ぬこと
Roxy. Señorita Roxy.
ことは は珍しいことではありません。辛さはわかります。私も経験がありますので。
嘘つかないでくださいよ。師匠は父さんも母さんも元気じゃないですか。
そうですね。最後に会ったのは数年前ですが、
Victor, welcome on
ど
in.
ちらも元気。
じゃあわかんないですよ。軽々しくわかるなんて言うなよ。
And right there, that's probably one of the biggest approaches. I know we're seeing him again relapse, turn into that kid mentality, so on and so forth, in a very similar way to how he was as Earthius, right? When he was locked in his room, yelling like this, told his brother, like you'll never understand, right? The main element that comes through with this, I'll have you guys practice with me. We don't say from now on we're gonna be empathetic individuals. I understand what you're going through. We can never understand what a person is going through. We can never understand what a person is going through. So we're gonna say the opposite of that. As counterintuitive as that might seem, as counterintuitive as this might seem, if you really want to empathize and be there for a person, you say the opposite of I understand what you're going through. You say I don't understand what you're going through, but I can draw from my experience and I can imagine some scenarios. Tell me about it. What are you going through? That is like telling someone I understand what you're going through. You're going to get met with resistance almost immediately. Help me understand. Exactly. Help me understand. I see this mistake happen way too many times where people use this language of I understand what you're going through. I know exactly what you're going in through. I know what you're going, and I know that Roxy's trying to empathize, and this is their way of trying to go to empathize and so on and so forth. But for a lot of people, it comes off like sympathetic rather than empathetic. Yeah, I don't understand what you're feeling right now, but like, please tell me, like, let me know what exactly, like, what's going through your mind. And that's one of the key aspects of growth. That's one of the key aspects of understanding. For Rudy, though, in a big aspect like this, he's just got to let it all out. The anger, the emotions, the happiness, the sadness, any type of emotions, he's just got to let it all out. Like legitimately. He's got to let everything out and then be met with like empathy to start growing. He's got to be met with empathy to start taking that next step,
気づいたんだ。やり直した気になって、うまくやれている気になって。でも大切な部分からは目を背けていたことに。家族との確執から目を背けて、また取り返しのつかない失敗を繰り返して。変われたと思っていた。でも結局何も変わっていなかったんだ。
ブエナ村での生活は本当に幸せでした。ルディはとても才能にあふれていましたし、パウロさんもゼニスさんも温かく接してくれました。あなたたちが私に家族の温かみを教えてくれたんです。私にとってパウロさんたちは第二の家族です。だから、あなたと悲しみを分かち合いたいんです、ルディ。私は小さくて至らない師匠ですが、ルディよりも長く生きている分だけ感情です。打たれてくださっても構いません。辛いことでも二人で分ければきっと薄くなります。
And this is what I'm talking about. It's like having a loved one, having a support network, having someone there for you, man. It can change your entire fucking world as to how much pain you can tolerate. How much, like, you can truly, like, take in and, be able to be there and so on. You'd fold instantly. First off, how many of you guys would fold? Throw a Dorito in the chat. If you wouldn't fold, throw a cat jam in the chat. Super curious about that. Aside from that, when it comes, I like how everyone's just fucking Doritos. It's Doritos. Oh no. Okay, some wouldn't fold. Okay. Damn. But when it comes to this, I think one of the key elements I'm trying to go ahead and highlight with this is how many of you guys have grieved alone without any support network and then with support network, and what was the difference for that? I'll be honest and I'll say without a support network, I kept spiraling. I kept spiraling and spiraling down. I became nothing but skin and bones for a good period of time. Like I had lost someone very, very important to me, and I just stopped eating. You know, I stopped taking care of myself. I barely had the energy to go out and like actually take care of myself. Like, you know, taking care of my hygiene, taking care of everything. Like I was literally just starting to go ahead and like go down horribly, right? It's like started being numb, didn't want to hang out with friends, didn't want to even take a step out, so on and so forth. Some people do prefer grieving alone. I think sometimes having someone there for you, though, to be able to go and share that pain, screams 1,001 things. However, this is what I fear. How old is Rudy right now? 17, 16, 17, 18? What does that say right there? Remember, whenever we're looking at developmental milestones, we're usually working on the one our age and the one underneath us, right? Or the one that's coming. Who am I? Where am I going? Am I loved or wanted? Identity versus role confusion and intimacy versus isolation. Young adults and teens need to develop a sense of personal identity. Success leads to an ability to stay true to yourself, while failure leads to role confusion and a weak sense of self. The other one, young adults need to form intimate, loving relationships with other people. Success leads to strong relationships, while failure leads to loneliness and isolation. Let's look at this. Loneliness and isolation, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that's the key aspect of that. Is it never too late to progress? So that's the thing, is just because we don't meet a milestone completely doesn't mean that we can't come back and work on it, right? We can't come back and start fixing some of these milestones that need to be touched on, that need to be fixed, that need to be whatever. The reason why I bring this up is because now, here we go. I fear that he's going to use one of these defense mechanisms to try and process his grief and switch it over as a healthy coping mechanism for him to cope through this grieving process. But my question is, what do you guys think that he's going to go ahead and do? Regression? Falling back into childlike patterns as a way of coping with stressful? Okay. Regression? He's hypersexual, so intimacy. Sure, I mean, intimacy is a big factor, you know. Trying to make up for areas which lack of perceived by becoming superior in some other areas. Sublimation, turning into socially unacceptable urges into socially acceptable behavior. Compensation. Yeah, what do we think he's gonna go ahead and do? Reaction formation. Forming an emotional reaction or an attitude that is opposite of one's threatening or unacceptable thoughts. The reason that I'm highlighting all of it with the combination of survivor's guilt, his dad identification, trying to become like someone else to deal with one's anxiety. Absolutely, he's gonna be using a combination of a lot of this. I'll be honest, he's probably gonna cope through sex. Absolutely see it coming. Why? I think that he's more than likely gonna use a lot of these aspects to like in order to go ahead and heal and try and cope through it. But he's more than likely going to try and cope through sex. So, sex is real? What? Sex is for more than just pleasure? Or doing it with the loved one? Yeah. Guys, sex isn't just this love romantic thing that should be done with the partner just because you love them. You can have angry sex. You can have sad sex. You can have sex because of a breakup, because you're getting into a relationship. You can have sex for the sake of sex. You can have 1,001 different, like, people use sex to cope with their emotions, to be able to go ahead and, like, you know, 1,001 things. Sex was invented by the anime industry. Oh yeah, 100% for Shiboneta. But sex can take into components, and this is why it's a base need. This is why, and I always find it interesting when people are like, "Wait, what do you mean sex can't be a base need? What about people that are asexual or don't necessarily fit the spectrum?" 100% right, but they do not meet, and I hate to put it this way, and this is how psychology regards it at the moment. They do not meet the normal distribution of people that like of terms of like base needs, right? Whenever we look at sex, it's labeled as a base need because the majority of the population use it as a way to cope with their environmental stressors, with the stressors of everyday life, with grieving, with 1,001 other things out there. And it's because sex works really well with a lot of things, anxiety, depression, so on and so forth, right? This is why it's considered a base need. Sex doesn't necessarily mean that sex with somebody else. It can be, you know, self-pleasure. It can be 1,001 other aspects of things, right? What's the difference between sexual intimacy and sex? Social constructs. Let's quick see. And it's how you define it with whoever your partner may be, right? Exactly. And just because it means asexual doesn't necessarily mean that they're completely avoidant of sex. And that's a key regard. So when it comes to this, when it comes to sexual intimacy, right? How vulnerable are you with your partner versus what is your base need of getting it out there? So for example, let's say that you really connected with Roxy. This is the difference, right? You really connected with Roxy. She becomes your partner. You're dating her, so on and so forth, right? You've been dating Roxy for a while. How comfortable would you be being vulnerable with Roxy? I'll be honest. I'd be fucking extremely comfortable sharing a lot of things with Roxy, right? Because all of a sudden, hey, not only can we have sex, we can share a lot of our own emotions and vulnerability and aspects of like what the future may hold and do and so on and so forth. Now, how vulnerable are you when you're cranking it out to Roxy dojins? That's sex. That's pleasure. And I bet you a majority of you guys are just fucking going ham. There's no fucking vulnerability in there. You're just that's sort of the difference in between, like, I know, all hail fucking Roxyism out there, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the main difference, is lust versus love, you know? Like, how vulnerable and open are you with your partner, right? Once you have a partner, once you have a group of partners, whoever that may be. And if you're open to genuinely, like, sharing that with them and sharing some of your vulnerabilities with them, that is sexual intimacy. Talking with your partner about, I like this, I like that, I like so on and so forth, as opposed to just sex. Sex can be meaningless, and I think that's one of the main aspects in there. Sex is just sex at some point, man, you know. But this is why I'm highlighting this, is like sex, if we look at the physiological needs, some of these things are what we need to survive. Ladies and gentlemen, some of these things are what we need to be able to go up the pyramid and start healing. Sometimes we just need fucking sex in order to start healing sexual intimacy, in order to start healing some of these other things that are out here. So basically, sex is good. Sex with someone you love is even better. So yeah, I mean, sex can be whatever you want it to go ahead and be. Like, the baseline need of sex can be whatever you want it to go and be, right? But sexual intimacy can be, you know, it's you and your partner defining that together, or you, whoever that, like, however it makes you feel vulnerable, whoever your partner may be, is 1,001%. I know I threw out that thing. I just believe in the Church of Roxyism. You know, huge fan of our goddess here. So I thought it needed to be said. Welcome to the periodic table of kink. There's 1,001 things out here which can be labeled as sex or sexual activities. Find one. Find stuff that you would do. Find stuff that you wouldn't do. You know, this is the periodic table of kinks for a reason. And this is why when we talk about sex, we talk about, for example, what would you and wouldn't you do with Roxy? What would you and wouldn't you do with Roxy, ladies and gentlemen? Yes. No. Like, when you come into aspects like this, the main concept that comes around with it, right, is sex is just a lot more than what people make it out to be. Sex is literally everything in this chart and more. That is exactly why I bring it up, and we talk about it like this. And we talk about the different elements. The fuck is Jeff? Is a kinky mascot. But that's the number one element through it, is like, when we look at situations like this, when we look at like what it comes to be, sex is just more than, you know, penetration. There's 1,001 things out there that can define what sex is. So we're looking at this and you're like, wait a minute, what if you don't meet your needs? Guess what? You might go up and you might reach sexual intimacy. And if you don't have a good sexual relationship with yourself, are you going to have a decent sexual relationship with others? If you suck at communicating aspects of sex, right, or know what you like or dislike or whatnot, are you going to have a good and healthy sexual relationship with others? You're probably going to struggle a little bit, which is more than likely going to make you struggle a little bit at like identifying some of the other areas as well. What is the atomic weight of orgasm denial again? I'm assuming no, for the most part, you're going to struggle. So when we're looking at this, right, and this is the key thing, is like, you can go through this triangle. We all gone through this triangle and we're working on shit. I'm working on shit. I have stuff in this triangle that I'm still working on and trying to go ahead and improve, right? Like, you will not meet every aspect in here. However, those aspects that you don't meet, guess what? That's where a lot of the pain points are probably going to come in the developmental aspects of things. Like, as you keep going forward, more than likely, a lot of the points that are going to come back and hit it is going to be on those points that you like located and like highlighted and been like, hey, this is not fucking key. Getting Ed to read my silliness was the last space in my... Oh, is it? You guys have a bingo card? Oh, no. All right, let's continue.
Rudy.
Hey, yo. Hey, yo, I wasn't thinking it was going to come this quickly. Whoa. I didn't think I was going to come this quickly. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Roxy. Roxy. Let me back it up. Let me back it up just 1 second here. Hold on.
きっと薄くなります。ルディ。
Oh, oh, no, no.
大丈夫。
Watch him fuck it up. No.
今は私に任せてください。
Let's go. Hey, hey. Yeah. Dual wielding folded. Teacher play. Let's go. Let me take charge. Fold 2 swords. No. But no, as expected. I hate to put it this way. I have a feeling some people might come at it and be like, oh, well, Roxy pushed herself on him in this time when he's vulnerable and whatnot. If he didn't want it, he could have said no and she would have listened. I'll just be straight up. I have a feeling that Roxy would have absolutely listened to probably anything that Rudy would have said in that regard, right? In that point in time, grief is in Rudy's mind so much so that anything else, if we're to go and consider it, does not compute, doesn't matter, doesn't whatnot. John saying silence is not consent. John, considering that someone that's been extremely vocal about everything and blushing, right? And blushing and whatnot, him as an individual could have said no at any point in time. Even in the act, you can say no. You can always change your mind. However, I'm assuming, I know him grabbing her hand though, I'm assuming that this means a lot of other aspects of things. Body language is language in of itself, and we have to understand that as well. We also have to understand that the aspects of why would someone do this, right? He reciprocated there at the end. Ed's defending the aggressor. Wee! I can already see all the fucking militian people on fucking Twitter being like, people, what about consent? What about, I can already I can already smell it, brother. Canceled. Here's the thing, and this is what I hate about it. Yes, consent is important, 1001%. But sometimes body language is body language in of itself. And we have to remember there is a power dynamical difference in this, right? Number 2, he is grieving. And number 3, throughout this entire process, Rudy, even during the act of sex, can say no. Can go ahead and lash out. Can do 1001 things. Just like anybody in their right mind, right? And good, bad, whatnot. You could be having sex and at one point in time, you can be like, you know what? I'm just not feeling it anymore. And be able to go ahead and back off. Yeah. Let's sex. Remember, Ed, she holds a position of authority over him as his teacher. You can still say no. Shit take I've read already. You don't need consent from men because men take every opportunity. But no, it goes both ways, right? It goes both ways. And consent is not a binary thing, right? Would it be okay if the situation is reversed? In the aspect where if she were to show the same body language that he's showing, yeah. Because he's grabbing onto her hand, he was blushing. Let's take into consideration the nonverbal cues. He was blushing. He was A-okay with her getting on. He did not protest. He did not say no. He did not say any of that. He grabbed her hand back. It's clear that they were into it. We didn't hear any form of no, any form of visual and or physical no, right? Kissing back. Yeah, there's a lot of aspects out there that we have to take into consideration. People nowadays try and put a lot of blocks into themselves as to this is not consent, this is consent, so on and so forth. Guys, sometimes you have to understand there's nonverbal components and there's verbal components. Of course, getting verbal components, absolutely fucking amazing. Great. 1000%. But will you always get verbal components Well, you always get verbal consent about things. Or have you ever had sex and there was no aspect of like, you know what? I consent to having sex. Do you consent to having sex? I consent to having sex. Wow, okay. Do you consent to me taking off my shirt? I consent to me taking off my shirt. Do you consent to me like not everything needs like 1,001 aspects of like, you know, going down the process. Sometimes people are we pick up more nonverbal cues than we do verbal cues, right? And that is the key aspect through this, right? Nonverbal cues include kissing back, holding hands, being allowed to be put over you, especially when you're smaller than the other person, or vice versa. There's a lot of nonverbal cues, and this is why nonverbal communication takes up around 70% of our language, right? Yet we're trying to put the area of importance and like the whole aspect of things in the 30% or less that we can verbalize. Consent is important. I will never say no. However, we have to take into consideration the nonverbal cues as to what's happening. And that is the key thing there. Right? Just think if that was muted, the hat stays on. Actual participation. Exactly. Actual participation is huge. Verbal play-by-play requests are required. Yeah, I mean, for some people, if that's what you're into, feel free, right? Just ask, do you want to have fun? Exactly. Are you okay with this? Sure, right? So on and so forth. They forgot to ask Twitter for consent. He could have pushed back, turned his head away from the kiss. Exactly, Ralphion. There's 1,001 things he could have done in that scenario, in that aspect. And I know some people might be saying, right? Coffee says, I would still say that him having her on the pedestal is a big factor of him giving in, and it's not to be ignored. Here's the thing, though, Coffee. Why do you think that he goes through with this? And we just touched on this. Grieving is a hell of a dependent drug. When you grieve, sometimes we turn into the things that will give us some form of pleasure to stop the pain. And again, this includes sex. Doesn't matter your power dynamics. Doesn't matter your fucking position. This doesn't really matter where you are in said stone, whatnot. I've seen people literally go back, and a lot of people go back into dynamics where it was not the safest because of grief. It was not the safest because of grieving. It was not the safe because of 1,001 things. Because for them, they need some form of closeness to start the healing process. Was out here looking like a skeleton. And if it wasn't Roxy, I hate to put it this way, who would it have been? Rudy making a questionable decision doesn't matter. He didn't. Doesn't mean he didn't consent. Yep. Elena Lise. Tall hand. There wouldn't have been anyone with that. However, and this is again my key dynamical system through this, and I know some people are going to take a big thing through it. There is nonverbal communication being presented here that he is a-okay with it. He can say no. He can't, like, he as we saw earlier, he has the ability to scream and yell and shout and, like, has the energy to do certain things. But let's do a fucking play-by-play right here. Insta-blushing. Looks at her. It's no longer just a form of, like, oh my God, right? Like, oh... He could have done what he does all the other times. Oh, no. Whatever, right? Look at that. Insta blush. Boom. Boom. Roxy's looking at him. Her hair slowly falls down. Ooh. Further blushing, right? Seeing that face. It should have been me! The hand on his chest, though. Bro, I wish. Cowgirl Roxy. Guys. Blushing is not something you can control. But your actions, you can determine. Kissing her back, you can determine. Grabbing her hand, you can determine. Allowing her to stay on top of you, you can determine. Allowing her to ride you, you can determine. Allowing certain aspects in sex, you do determine, my friend. You determine every single process in the scenario. If you say, oh, blushing, you can't control. But he can kick her, he can move her, he can turn to the side, he can literally turn around and, like, you know, decide to be pegged. He could do 1,001 other aspects, right? In that regard. Man God twerking. So there's a lot of aspects out there that he can do. Like, he could do 1,001 things if he wants to do it, and that's the main regard. And yet he kisses her back. This reminds me a lot of like the people being like, Eris did not consent. In season 1, this reminds me so much of the people that were on it. It's like Rudy took advantage of Eris, or Eris took advantage of Rudy in season 1. It's the same fucking argument, you know. The same fucking argument that happened in season 1 just being reflected now in season 2, right? With similar fucking components. Oh, who did not consent? The initiator? It's the same fucking thing, brother. The main aspect of this is the story is cyclical in that regard. In the light novel, he was way less passive. Oh, was he less passive in the light novel? Well, in this one, he's kissing her back, so I'm assuming this is all go. But the main elements that I'm trying to go ahead and bring up is, guys, there's nonverbal components. Aside from, like, the blushing element that people keep trying to bring up, yeah, okay, you can't control your blushing, you can't control when you get hard, but you can't control the actions that you do. You can't control the actions if you kiss someone back, if you allow someone to stay on top of you, if you hold their hand, if you caress them, if you allow them to ride you, if not, so on and so forth. You control all of that, right, as an individual. So, again, this episode does bring in a lot of fucking amazing components. Cheater. However, does that excuse him from cheating, ladies and gentlemen? On the light novel, he took the initiative. No, absolutely the fuck not. This is not a fucking justification in any way, shape, or form. Hell no, brother. He's still a grown-ass adult. Well, teenager, but still. Did Sophie consent? Oh, no. Did Aisha consent? Huh? Did Norn consent to this? No one consented to this. Did Man God consent? Bro, Man God's probably like flipping the fuck out. He's like, oh, Rudy, I'm gonna make sure that like Roxy and Selfie suffer. Like, no. Did I consent, Salty Terra? Oh no. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and continue. Holy fuck. I didn't think that this episode was gonna like carry this much fucking discussion with it. For the Church of Roxyism out there, I've heard you. I've seen you. How many of you guys are mad that Roxy did not ask for your consent to do this with Rudy? It should have been me! You see? And he holds her hand back. My man. Does it go into details in the morning or like in the light novels or no? No, it's always a cut to black. Yeah, no. Yes, no. I'm getting mixed responses here. Fade to black slightly, but not much. Not really. Not about the act, maybe. Regretting it in the morning is not because he did not consent to it. It's because he now has to suffer with the consequences of his actions. I can already tell someone out there is going to be like, you see, we can tell he's sweating and he's thinking about it. No, that's that post-nut clarity, brother. Like, looking at yourself like this, it's not because you fucking regret the action of doing it. It's because now you're like, fuck, now there's the consequences of my actions will be fully there. Damn, yeah, like father, like son. It's because now, yep. He knows he fucked up. 2 swords, so... Aww. Now the real question is this, chat. Was this Roxy's first time? Or has she had many previous partners beforehand? That is a discussion I want to leave to you guys. What do you guys think? It was her first? Ah! Most likely. First timer, she lied about... Is there blood? I don't know. Hold on. I saw a question. Thank you, Ed. I had to suffer with the idea of someone regretting the action the day after. I was charged Oh, giving a restraining order because of it. This whole episode discussion is really hitting home. Well, I'm glad it's hitting home, Photo, because my main thing is, and I guess how I want to go and clarify things, right? Because oftentimes it's only shown, and for some reason, the media, and you'll often see this with any sex studies, is that guys, specifically males, underscore themselves when it comes to sexual trauma. A lot of males specifically, and females as well, do not get me wrong, but more males than females in a lot of the sexual studies that are being done out there, oftentimes underrepresent themselves, underscore themselves, and showcase a lot more trauma when it comes towards, like, for example, having sex and then like regretting having sex, right? Or doing certain things but not being able to talk about it because of the aspects of like, hey, bro, you got laid, let's fucking go, you know, so on and so forth. And even vice versa, right? Don't get me wrong, because the same things happen for our females, right? For anybody out there, especially if you identify as non-binary as well. There's still a lot of research that needs to be done in that aspect. But regretting a partner that you've had is not the same thing as not giving consent, right? Because you can have consent, you can do it, right? But regretting it the day afterwards for having bad sex or not really like connecting, like, you know, physically with the person does not mean that, like, oh, you know what, like, I like, you know, you revoked your consent after the deed was done. Like, that doesn't, you know, we need to think about clearly about more of these things, because I've seen this come up way too many a times, right? In discussions, in actual therapeutic discussions, where people come in, right, and they're like, hey, you know what? I had really, really bad sex, and in the morning, you know, I just got up and left, and that was A-okay. Good, awesome. You did whatever you had to. You noticed that person, maybe you didn't physically click with them. However, there were other individuals that come through, and they're like, yeah, so afterwards, after we had sex, I was just like, yeah, I don't give you consent, and reporting happens and stuff like that, and investigation. Nothing happened because, of course, the story stayed consistent, where they took away consent after they had sex and 1,001 other things, right? But it's still the main element of, like, you know, whenever you have situations like that, you need to think about, like, where does that come in? And this goes both ways. Like, consent after the fact that it's done is like, it's not really taking away the consent because it already happened. It's more of the regret of the actions that happened there, right? And that's one of the key elements through it. I hope that makes sense. And I hope that clarifies some things, because there's a lot of misconceptions still out there. It pisses me off that mental health and mental health issues are still seen as weakness. Yep. And it still sucks. It's like robbing a bank and saying in court that you don't want to rob a bank. Right. And how to deal with post-nut clarity to boot. It's not fair.
Hi.
Aww. You know, Rudy, I guess she really did take you to town. She wasn't lying about it. Rudy, she wasn't fucking lying about it. Bro, that she did. Hey, yo, I'm just saying, Roxy stays true to her word, you know? Ba-boom. No, Lena, no.
師匠、一つ変なことを聞いてもいいですか？
はい。
僕はこれからどうすればいいでしょうか？
今、目の前にいる家族を大事にするしかないでしょう。パウロさんだってルディにはそれを望んでいるはずです。前を向いてください。みんな待っていますから。
Damn, not even doing this during cuddle time afterwards. They get dressed and they talk about it. But true, you gotta value your family.
師匠、ありがとうございました。
Oh.
はい。
Oh, fucking love it, dude. I love this fucking interaction between them, and the fact that they're communicating like this still openly and whatnot. Does this form of communication, the way that they're communicating right now, does that seem like someone who, like, first off, was traumatized by the actions of what happened? It shows the trust and connection that they have. 100%. 100%. I love blueberries. Nuh-uh. Does it show any form of, like, distress in the way that they're talking, where one of them's trying to get away from the other immediately? It sounds like someone who was healed by the actions was much longer than that, and that was what healed Rudy. Yeah, and that's the thing is when we talk about it like this, sex heals, dude. Sex can be a fucking healing agent for some people. It is what it is, and not for everyone, you know. We are having a poll right now on the Discord, ladies and gentlemen. It's for next week on Friday. Perfect Blue, Paprika, Madoka Magica, The Rebellion, Violet Evergarden, and Kaguya-sama Love is War, as well as Elden Ring DLC is on there, ladies and gentlemen. Make your voices heard, vote, and then next week we do start the poll for the show that is going to replace the Apothecary Diaries, ladies and gentlemen. So it's going to be fucking great. It's going to be absolutely fucking great. The 10 shows for that are Code Geass, Overlord, Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night, Attack on Titan, Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, 86, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, what the fuck am I missing? Oregairu Season 3, and then there's two more. There's two more out there, you know? So July is coming, so Oshinoko. Yeah, Oshinoko, we're watching it July 4th, you know, so it's gonna be fucking phenomenal. Let's go. I'll back it up just a little bit. Here's the thing, and it's absolutely right, you know, like, having sex releases neurotransmitters. It allows you to go ahead and start the healing. Like, dopamine hits, right? All of a sudden, it's like, okay, I don't feel as bad because dopamine is hitting. So you just start feeling a little bit better. You start, and yes, July 4th, Oshinoko Season 2. That's the main element to bring up and highlight and just completely go over, right? It's like, why does sex heal? And why is it in there? And I know I'm probably like the fucking therapist fucking explains like why Roxy needed to have sex with Rudy to start the fucking healing process, and he's doing fucking ninja science and shit, doing like a Kagebunshi no jutsu to explain therapeutically why. It's like, guys, it's simple. Unga bunga brain. Sex makes us feel better. We don't got to go that fucking deep with it. But there's 1,001 other studies out there. I suggest you guys checking them out on the impacts and powers of sex through the recovery process of grief. Right. I've seen complaints about the author using sex as a cure. Not necessarily. And that's the main aspect of things, right? It's like, if you think in Mushoku Tensei, Rudy is never punished for his sexual actions, you literally have the IQ of a peanut. You have the media literacy of a fucking peanut. That's all I gotta say, brother. Like, if it comes down to, yeah, and you haven't fucking watched it, right? Why? Because all along the way, Rudy, in either hypo or sexualized versions of himself, right? In whatever way he's acting, he has been punished. There's been some form of punishment. There's been some form of like actions have consequences. And not all actions have consequences, ladies and gentlemen. Not all. Sometimes stuff happens and you're just like, fuck, it is what it is, and you keep moving. And by this, I mean like literally anything and everything that you do, right? The key thing about this world here is, for example, yeah, congratulations. He got to have sex the first time. What happens when he had to have sex? Yes, it was amazing. One night he woke up the morning. He's like, yeah, we are the champions, my dick. Oh, fuck. You know, like, he went into full-on ED depresso route because turns out Eris left him, right? So all of a sudden, he's dealing with all of this shit that, like, goes through with it. The opposite of a cure, and now he's dealing with this whole sexual dysfunction of trying to heal himself and go through with it. From Proud, appreciate the sub. Hell yeah. Then, right, through this whole aspect of pain and whatnot, was having sex the cure, or was an emotional connection the cure? Was having sex the cure, or was the emotional connection the cure for his ED? It was a connection. It was a bit of both. But it was having that emotional connection with someone that's not going to reject you, right? That's not going to be like, oh my God, like, you know, you're discussing. Having that emotional connection there. Seeing that it's Sylphie, right? That big connection with sex. Oh, bazinga. Fucking beautiful shit, right? Now he's grieving, right? And now he's gone through this whole aspect of things. He's had sex. He woke up and he's like, fuck, what did I just do? Right? But sex, the process, neurologically speaking, release all this fucking, you know, dopamine, 1,001 other things in your brain to start the process of baselining so you can start thinking rationally to heal. But sex. But no, I just think it's super duper important and like, you know, to talk about and highlight, because I bet you anything, you're probably going to get like, hold on. Well, actually, what you're not understanding is this whole thing about sex is just a depravity. You see, this whole the author is just really into exploiting little fucking characters. Let me make a 12,000 fucking thread essay on this with no citations. Because actually, you guys don't understand, right? It's not the same as like Subaru liking someone that's developmentally stunted. No, that's a-okay. Or Araragi-kun liking the ghost girl and doing some weird things to her. That's a-okay. And not the fact that I have a fucking profile picture of a little girl on my thing. No, I'm not justifying any of that. Rudy is the real problem. Okay, bro. It's just wish fulfillment. By the way, I love ReZero. I love fucking Bakemonogatari. I love the Monogatari series in general. I'm just over fucking exemplifying some of the key elements that are thrown out there constantly, The problem is it's too real. And I think that's the main thing is Mushoku Tensei, when it comes to realism or aspects of like self, right? And connections and like social environments, it's too real. It brings it down to a very core human self, and I think that's the main element worth highlighting. I think that I like that this show is controversial. It helps sort some people. I've seen some people justifying Araragi and shitting on Rudy just 2 days ago. It's hilarious. You see? They think Nafumi and Raptalia are super cute and she's a slave. Oof. But and that's the main element. Is I like Mushoku Tensei because it brings up these elements of discussion and it's fucking perfect for what it does. Right, and it does it in such a good form. Like, yeah. Fine.
Hi.
I can't hear my goddess.
ロキシー、あなた。
ルディ、申し訳ありませんが、私。
Was this Annalise's idea? Wait a minute. Wait a fucking minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No. Wait. Because the way that like she said it, it's like, Roxy, did you like she already fucking knew something was gonna happen. She just didn't think that Roxy was actually gonna pull it off. No. Perhaps 4K. Ooh. Nah, Ed. How do you figure that out? Look at the way that she just responded to this.
ロキシー、あなた。
Look at the way she responds to this. This is like the idea when someone fucking tells you to do something, they're like, yeah, she'll never fucking pull it off. And then you wake up in the morning and they fucking pull it off and you're like, bro, what the fuck? Cultural problem, sort of cut content. Oh shit, okay, so there was cut content. A lot, to be honest. Fuck, dude. Okay, SP might bring it up. In the light novel, there's 100% Aya who put his idea in the head. Okay.
ルディ、申し訳ありませんが、私はエリナリーゼさんと話があるので、リーリャさんのところには一人で行ってください。
わかりました。
Bruh.
リーリャさん。
何でしょうか、ルーデウス様。
すみません。母さんの世話を押し付けてしまって。
She's just a complete fucking blank slate, isn't she? My God. Lilia's eyes, man. Yeah, I mean, think about it. Let me ask you guys this. In your opinion, who would you have preferred stayed? Paul? Or I hate to put it this way, Zenith in this state. Is that even Zenith to begin with, right? Or is that completely changed? The spoiler, so you can't say pixelated? No!
いいえ、これが私の仕事です。
母さんの様子はどうですか？
記憶はないようですが、不思議と体の方は健康です。変な後遺症もありません。
そうですか。
ということは、記憶を失っているだけで精神が完全に死んだわけではないのか。
シェラさんの見立てでは魔力結晶に閉じ込められたことによる魔力的な弊害だろうと。
治るんでしょうか。
エリナ・リーゼ様の話によると無理とのことです。
Oof.
私は奥様にはよくしていただきました。旦那様がお亡くなりになった以上、私が奥様の面倒を見ます。
俺もできることはするつもりです。
必要ありません。ルーデウス様、差し出がましいとは思いますが、少しだけ失礼な物言いを許していただいてもよろしいでしょ
Do
う
it,
か。
please. Please.
あなたは自分のやるべきことをなさい。
やるべきことですか。
旦那様もそうおっしゃるでしょう。奥様のお世話は私がすべきことです。そ
Oh.
のために私は今ここにいます。
Oh.
帰りましょう。家族のところへ。
That's wild, man. There's two things I'm curious about. Number one, how are the girls, Lauren and Aisha, going to take dad is no longer around? How are they going to take that news? Are they going to internalize that? Specifically, is one of them going to go ahead and say it was my fault for telling Rudy to go on this adventure? For Norn, for telling Rudy, hey, you know, like go and get, like, you know, or like I'm trying to go ahead and go do this or whatnot. Like, is Norn gonna internalize this as fucking guilt? That's fucking huge. And then the second off is, how are you gonna confront Sylphie, Rudy? Are you even gonna tell her? Or is Ellen at least gonna tell her? Like, who the fuck is gonna tell Sylphie about what you did? Oh no, I'm so scared. I'm so scared of Sylphie just fucking leaving him. Left it, or like even if they work shit out, like even if they're able to work shit out, what if something were to come along and just hurt him again and again? I keep saying this. The last thing I want is an old decrepit man who's fucking angry at the world. Like an old decrepit fucking Rudy just angry at the world is the last thing that I want. Because everything that's been leading up to this is trauma point, trauma point, trauma point, trauma point, you know? Aww. He doesn't even. Oh, Roxy helping him. Who the fuck is Dello? The armadillo. Fuck you guys. Oh, well, then Elise is just fucking.
Ah, 師匠。
どうしました、ルディ？
はっきり言う。俺はロキシーが大好きだ。
No!
シルフィーとは多少ベクトルの違う好きだが、どっちがと聞かれても答えられない。
I mean, but do you love your mom the same way that you love your dad? You can love people in different ways and capacities, you know? Like, not everyone, like, it needs to be, like, loved exactly the same. There's different forms of love, you know? There's two swords. Watch. My dude gonna be out there like... he's gonna be like fucking like 8-wielding at the end of like the entire fucking 4. Oh yeah, 4. Ooh, Zoro it.
だから揺れている。
We're adding
シルフィー
some.
が好きでロキシーも好きなこの状況に。だが俺はシルフィーにミサオを立てると誓った。それを裏切るわけにはいかない。
ですね、実は俺も。
You know, Rudy, you could have dropped this fucking atomic bomb any other way, brother. I get it. You guys are alone, whatnot. You could have dropped this atomic bomb any other way. Maybe when my dude could have literally waited to have a serious watch the fucking. Oh no, I can't. I'm married. I have a child on the way. And Roxy's probably like, hey, yo, so what about what happened the other day? What about what happened the other day? You were like, yeah, you go, cowgirl. Like, what do you mean?
結婚していて、もうすぐ子供も生まれるんです。だから、あまり恋人みたいな感じは申し訳ないんですけど。
Oh.
知っています。パウロさんが亡くなって、みんなでルディを心配しているとき、エリナリーゼさんから聞きましたから。
So you knew and you still went after him? You knew about this information and you still went in there. I think that's a home record. Cut content. God does not give a fuck. No, but in a scenario like that, we also have to remember that they are God taking W's. They are in different religious sects, like sects. They are in different aspects of self, right? What they believe is right or wrong. We've already seen that polyamory or polygamy is very open in this world, as well as monogamous relationships. So it could be that she just thinks it's a-okay to go ahead and do, right? So that's what I'm saying is different aspects, different. Yeah, she took the only way that she felt would work. At least being a good grandma for Rudy is. I don't know about that, brother. Man God did not consent to this union. Man God's fucking reeing. He's writing up a fucking like a long thread right now about Roxy and Rudy and why they shouldn't be together or some shit, right? And how Rudy's gonna rue the day.
じゃあ、なぜ？
ルディが気に病むことはありません。私はルディが弱っているところにつけ込んだだけです。私がやったことなのです。本来なら私みたいなのを相手にしてくれないのは分かっています。
そんなことを。
安心してください。私がルディの左手となるのはこの旅の間だけです。
My heart. Think about how she literally puts herself in that situation. I know I'm not enough for you. Like, she's so down on herself. Like, she's not pretty enough for him. She's not enough for him. And she's literally putting she's literally putting herself in a situation where she is putting a lot of that guilt and that self-hatred and the aspects on herself as to why it's okay, self-justifying in a big way, oh yeah, no, this happened because I'm not enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not worthy enough of being there for you if you were fully healed and whatnot. That's the inferiority complex. Absolutely. That's a big thing, and I'll be honest, Roxy, all the characters need therapy, but if they wouldn't need therapy, they probably wouldn't make as good of characters, you know? The inferiority complex from her childhood is able to telepathically communicate with manifesting. But even through that, my main thing, or my main regard through all of this is, number one, they both know one another's actions. They were a part of it. And they both understand the circumstances of this relationship. The only way that this can go bad is a month down the road or 2 months down the road, Roxy comes back and she's like, Rudy, I have one on the way. Oh. That's the only way that this can fucking go bad is she comes back later and it's just hey Rudy, I'm preggers, and it's oh no.
ルディはあちらに戻ったら奥さんを大事にしてあげてください。
せめて何か恩返しをさせてくれませんか？
恩返しですか？
はい。俺にできることなら何でもします。
じゃあ言い訳を聞いてもらってもいいですか？
言い訳ですか？聞
聞くだけでいいですから。
はい、わかりました。
私一目惚れだったんですよ。
誰にですか？
ルディにです。迷宮で助けてもらった時にですよ。
あ
あの場面では私でなくてもドキッとしてしまいますよ。私の理想そのままでした。迷宮を探索している時もルディの顔ばっかり見ていました。
目をそらされてましたけど。
Wait, wait. If this relationship were to actually work, for whatever reason, let's say that Rudy is actually able to go ahead and, like, you know, make acquiesce with Sylphie and allow sort of a Paul scenario to happen. How long can Sylphie live? Okay, what about Roxy? 200 years, 200? Wouldn't be lonely. I'm just saying they wouldn't be lonely. They would have they would have companionship, you know. And I don't think wow, you guys took this and you guys fucking ran with it, man. I'm over here talking about companionship, man. I'm over here talking about like having someone that you can relate to, you know, and you can
ルディの顔ばっかり見ていました。
roommates.
目をそらされてましたけど。
それはだって恥ずかしいじゃないですか。
Oh.
ダメだとは思っていたんです。エリナリーゼさんやギースさんもルディなら自力で立ち直るって言ってました。けどブエナ村で暮らしていた頃を思い出して。
Exactly.
いや、もちろんルディには愛する人がいるって聞きましたし、きっとルディが落ち込んでもその人が立ち直らせてくれるんでしょう。
You gotta tell her you love her, man. I fucking love the piano bit in there, but you gotta tell her you love her too. Like if you genuinely feel that and you felt that for so fucking long and you've adored her fucking panties and you've adored these semblances to what she is, like.
でもその人は今ここにいないじゃないですか。なら誰かが助けてあげないとってそう思うじゃないですか。でもエリナリーゼさんもギースさんも放っておくつもりで、リーリャさんはゼニスさんにつきっきりで手が離せなくて、じゃあ私がするしかって思うじゃないですか。だって仕方ないじゃないですか。好きなんですもん。
Oh.
ひどいですよ。あんまりですよ。
師匠。
何ですか？
せめてこの旅の間だけでも。
それでどうするんだ。何の解決にもなっていない。俺のためにもロキシーのためにも。
Oh.
やめてください。そういうのは何もする必要はありません。
Oh.
わかりました。
There are still people that wonder, he didn't consent. There was no way for him to get out of it. Prime example, how to not show consent. And pain, my fucking kokoro. My kokoro in that regard, man. Oof, size XXL. Way to fuck. And he fucked it up, man. And he fucked it up. This is just pain pecco. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. This fucking hurts on a fundamental level because it's like, okay, they're trying, you know, clearly. Well, yes, but actually, no. They're trying to go ahead and connect, and they have this connection, but they can't be together. Oof. Ooh. Why is love so painful? Like, do we die when we are killed? That like, you know, and especially in a scenario like this, does Rudius's love for Roxy die if you get, like, you know, if they keep getting shut down like this? We die with no Roxy.
Mo 目隠しを取っても大丈夫ですよ。
ルディ、ここは？
シャリーアの近くにある森です。
信じられん。本当に北方大地まで来たのか。
道理で先輩がラパンに来るのが早かったわけだ。
くれぐれも他言無用でお願いしますね。
あいよ。
では俺とエリナ・リーゼさんで先導します。
Frosty Dillo. Can you just imagine being an Elise there? And you're like, boy, I know you fucked around. Oh. So, you got my back, I got yours. You don't tell Cliff what I've done. I don't tell Sylphie what you've done. Like, how do we come up with an agreement on this? Like, how do we agree about, like, you know... So, about my granddaughter. Oh, this is fucked up, brother.
ルーデウス、
はい。
あなたミリス京都ではありませんでしたわよね。
違います。
シルフィーもミリス京都ではありませんわね。
ええ、そのはずです。
私のクリフは敬虔なミリス京都ですわ。
Oh, she broached it
知
nicely.
ってます？ミリス京都というのは妻を一人しかめとってはいけないという決まりがあるんですのよ。
She's putting pressure now. Is Rudy gonna take Roxy on as a wife? Is Rudy gonna take Roxy on as a wife? Because the way that she diverted this is so nicely done. Like, it's someone that's thought about how to go ahead and approach this. Is Rudy gonna take Roxy on as a wife? Because it's like the whole aspect of, oh yeah, you know, if you're not a follower of Millis only takes one wife, you know, but if you're not a follower of her, you can have multiple, you know, like, my wife. The question is, well, how many? How many? Somewhere. Pulse one.
その妻を生涯かけて愛しなさいという少々堅苦しいけれど実際に愛される側に回ってみると心地よい教えですわね。けれどルーデウス、私は別に複数の相手を同時に愛することが悪いとは思いませんのよ。
Hey, fucking based. Fucking based. Dylan Elise is so fucking based for that. Holy shit, bro. Yeah, Dylan Elise with the EIQ. Like, yeah, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Like, you can love multiple people at the same time. That's pretty good. I feel like Twitter ain't ready for this conversation. Now I get why SB said some people might drop the show. Yeah, most people aren't still comfortable with that idea, John, unfortunately. Like, a lot of people still only strongly believe in like monogamous relationships, right? And anything outside of that is debauchery for people because people only view as sex being with one person or you truly only being able to love one person, but that's not how that works, you know. Time for the patent ball move.
でさ、さっきから何が言いたいんですか?
I know what the next season is going to be. Rudy's, right? 100 girlfriends who really love him, right? And he's gonna get a bunch of isekai girlfriends all over the... I'm kidding. Pre-watched Bad Weather. Pre-watched. Good time. Go get a peanut, brother.
ルーデウス、ロキシーをめ
I didn't think that you would just be straight up about it. Just Rudy's marry Roxy. Just fucking marry her already. Oh no, brother.
本気で言ってるんですか?
ええ、私が言いますわ。私でないと言えませんもの。正直、今のロキシーは見ていられません。
Oh no!
本当はあなたに甘えたいのに身を引くつもりですのよ。自分の会うタイミングが悪かったというだけで。
Oh, my heart.
私、控えめでもいいからロキシーには幸せになってほしいんですの。
いや、俺はシルフィーと
ロキシーのことはどうしたいんですの？
幸せになってほしいですよ。
Who do you think she'd be
でき
happy
ること
with?
なら俺がロキシーもシルフィーも幸せにしたい。でも
虫のいい話だ。シルフィーと結婚して子供まで作ってそれでいて別の女も欲しいなんて。俺は今まで散々パウロをクズだと言ってきておいて、あいつと同じようなことをしたいと考えている。
Isn't it interesting how the sins of the father come back and literally touch base at times like this. Now my man is carrying two swords, two aspects.
思い出してごらんなさい。パウロがリーリアをめとった後、ゼニスは不幸になりましたか？
Bro, don't hit us with the... Oh.
最初母さんは泣いていましたけどね。
それくらいは仕方ありませんわ。あなたならできますわ。シルフィーとロキシーを同じぐらい愛することが。パウロの息子ですもの。それぐらいの解消があるはずですわよ。
二人が好きだという気持ちに偽りはない。だが旅先でこんなことになってシルフィーに幻滅されるだろう。
She might get mad. She will get mad. She might get mad. Hey, what are the other? If I was in her shoes, I'd be fucking pissed. But in comes in the element of like, how are you gonna break this down to them, right? I really think there are good points to polygamy. There can be. It's up to people, right? Like, how do you break this down to someone in this situation?
ロキシーだって自分だけを愛してほしいかも
Absolutely
しれない。
rimfire.
二人に見放されてまた一人になるかもしれない。それでも俺は二人を幸せにしたい。
でも俺がそうしたいからといって師匠とシルフィーがイエスと言ってくれるかどうかはまた別の話でしょ。
じゃあ今ロキシーに聞いちゃいなさいな。
No. Elise is like, she's awake right now. She's crying to herself to sleep every night. I hear it, bro. Like, just fucking make her happy. Like, fucking, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to travel with Roxy and hear her, like, crying at night because she met you at the wrong time and she fucking loves you and she knows she has to step outside. Like, make her happy, man. Like, Elise is just fucking goated at this point. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Fuck, yeah. Just wanna. It was so much more problematic in the light novel. Oh, I didn't know that.
話というのは何でしょうか。
師匠にお話ししたいことがありまして。
Oh.
はい。
Oh.
師匠の教えに何度も助けられました。
Oh.
俺は師匠がいたからここまで生きてこられました。それでですね、俺にはもう妻がいます。シルフィエット・グレイラットという名前なのですが。
Oh, he's doing it. He's doing it. Oh.
何が言いたいんだ俺は。
He's doing it.
妻はもともとは名字がなくてただのシルフィエットだったんです。
はい、そう聞いています。
そういうことじゃないだろう。
Bro. Do it.
もういい。
Do it.
後になってああしておけばというぐらいなら俺はクズでいい。
Don't live on regrets. Don't fucking live on regrets. Look at me, chat. Look at me, chat. Don't live on fucking regrets. Say your piece. Even if it fucking hurts you, chat. I don't give a fuck, right? I don't give a fuck. I will let him fucking finish right now, but don't live on regrets. Don't live on regrets, ladies and gentlemen. Do it. Do it. Get up and fucking do it, man. That cute person, guy or girl, I don't care what the fuck they identify as. If you have feelings for them, take the fucking plunge. If you get rejected, you get rejected and you can fucking move on and keep going forward. I know it might hurt, but at the same time, if they don't and they actually like you, guess what? Congratulations. You took the dive and there was something there. Let's take the challenge, ladies and gentlemen. If Rudy can do this, you can do this as well. You can fucking do this as well. I'm gonna back it up just to get this full impact of this because, oh my god.
俺はクズでいい。
師匠もロキシー・グレイラットに名前を変えるつもりはありませんか。
Oh. Oh.
愛しています。
Oh. Oh no, Roxy. Oh, oh, my heart. I can't. I can't.
そう言ってくださるのはとてもありがたいです。でも奥さんの了承は取らなくてもいいんですか？
取らなきゃいけないです。
ではその後でもう一度聞かせてください。
Oh, fucking based. Oh, based. Based. She's okay with it. She's okay with it. Ah! Yeah, Roxy has been the adult throughout all these interactions. That's fucking goated, man.
なんだ、同じじゃん。
What do you know? We are the same. Oh. Succession. Holy crap, what an episode, ladies and gentlemen. That was fucking phenomenal. That was phenomenal and a half. Really interesting to see their dynamics present there and everything that's sort of like been happening in that regard, right? And how they're able to go ahead and communicate and their feelings like start to come in together. It's so good, man. So fucking good. Trying to remember my Secession and Empty. But comes in the element though. Is Sylphie going to stay? Because at this point in time, I feel like Rudy might have not just lost his dad, but in the process, maybe lost his wife. If he's not able to properly communicate with Sylphie, he might have just lost everything. That's the right question to ask. Ladies and gentlemen, overall, I'm going to go ahead and give this episode a solid. I think that was an 8.59 out of 10. That was pretty good. That was decent. Last episode was just fucking gut-wrenching, right? But this episode had a lot of interesting topics. I can already tell this episode is not going to go well on fucking Twitter. I can already tell this episode's not going to go well in a lot of places, and people are going to be blaming fucking Roxy for a lot of things. Yeah, I'm sure next episode... But for me... I think that this episode said everything and a half. SP! What the fuck?
I'm angry.
Wait, why are you angry?
They cut one part out that I really wanted.
Okay, what was the part? Because the chat was like yelling at me essentially like, hey, there's a lot of stuff that's been cut, but like, what happened?
The one part that I wanted was Roxy would not do that without being pushed. And what was annoying was they cut the part where basically Eleanor Lees is the one that encouraged her to sleep with Rudy. There's like a whole build-up before she actually does the whole push to go into Rudy's room, which is where Eleanor Lees is like, hey, you know, Rudy, you like him, go do it.
Right. We didn't get the... Which is
why afterwards, that's why she isn't shocked, because she's the one that instigated it.
But I guess my thing through that is, okay, so she instigated Roxy to go through with the actions. And then afterwards, like, oh, you actually did it. Like, that's how it read off to me, like, anime-wise. Like, you know, like, oh, you actually did it. Like, oh, Roxy, like, what the fuck? But I guess in that perspective, I have a couple questions to ask you. Is Rudy 16 or is he 50? Because I'm pretty sure that Twitter is going to flip-flop on this pretty fucking quickly right now, where they're probably going to say, oh, Roxy's taking advantage of a 16-year-old, but don't let Rudy sleep with Eris, you know, because that's a 50-year-old with another 16-year-old.
It's funny because when season 1 ended, everyone complained that Rudy, like one of the big complaints about the series was Rudy grooms Eris, Roxy, and Sylphia. And I'm like, wait. Have you people read and a lot of them would be like, oh yeah, I've read the web novel and the light novel. I'm like, okay, if that's the case, then based on your own logic, Roxy grooms Rudy. If we're using their own logic. So right. I'm interested to see how many will now go with that ideology of Roxy groomed Rudy, but I mean, they both consented to it, even though Rudy has a wife, so...
Interesting. So now I'm gonna touch base with you on that. Did Rudy consent to doing it with Roxy? Because we got into a long discussion on that here.
I would say yes.
I would agree with you. I would very much agree with you. What was the, I guess, where would you classify that the consent came in, or what were the key aspects that you're like, you know what, there was consent in this?
Well, I mean, go over the episode. I mean, she walks in the room, she sits down next to him, she holds his hand. I mean, that's pretty much she's, you know, trying to comfort him.
Mm-hmm.
Then she then consoles him, hugs him, and then tries to sort of lean on him on the bed at that, and then hold his hand at the same time. At that point, Rudy would very much know, okay, she wants to instigate something a bit more further than just consoling. At any point there, he could have said, no, I have a wife.
Right.
The fact that he continues is him saying yes.
Yep. No, John was bringing up some excellent discussion points in it, and I know what you were saying by that, John. Don't even think I'm mad about it. It was just like very interesting points, because I can already tell that people are going to look at this episode and frame it like he didn't verbally say yes, like I consent to this. I can already tell that there's probably going to be an offshoot of people trying to go out and say, like, number one, power dynamics wise, Roxy pushed him down and forced himself on him, and she knew that he wouldn't say no or something like that. But it's like we clearly saw him a couple of like seconds earlier yell, stand up, and say no to a lot of those like a lot of the stuff that was happening around, right? Like, you don't understand the whole concept of like Roxy saying, I understand. He's like, no, you don't. So that was a big aspect to do that.
Because actually, yeah, that is a good point someone else brings up, which is low orange. If what Roxy did is, you know, rape or forcing herself on Rudy, then Eris did the exact same thing.
Hold on. TPP says, to quote one of such people, I took advantage over you when you were at your lowest, knowing I did it accordingly. Said by her teacher, who taught him at a young age. Rumor alert, this show is amazing except for the horrible relationships. Whoever wrote this has to be an incel of some kind. It's so weird how in real life what you did would be considered a horrible thing to do, yet people in here are raving about what an amazing episode. Okay, number one, I guess touching on that, number one, that's how she views herself. That's not actually what happened, right? She views herself as she took advantage of him because it's easier to put yourself in that scenario to not get hurt, right? And this is what a lot of people do in like situationships and whatnot, which is like, oh, you know what? Like, there was a scenario and like this and this happened. I'm going to go ahead and put distance in myself and play it off as the power dynamics that are being present. However, power dynamics mean nothing like in the face of someone that can stand their ground. Like, for example, let's say that I was SP's boss, right? And SP, I was telling SP to do something unethical, but he's a very much ethical person. He can legitimately say, you know what? No, thank you. I'll go find a job elsewhere. Like, standing on business, essentially. That's what a lot of people do. But a lot of people would fold. A lot of people fold because Roxy is attractive. Roxy is smart. Roxy, if we're being honest about it, like, Roxy is a beautiful character to go ahead and have in there.
I find the comment, whoever wrote this has to be an incel of some kind. It's like, do you understand how literacy works, bro? Making flawed characters doesn't make you a bad person or a bad writer.
Right.
Like, that's called a story. It's called character complexity. It's called Rudy is human and flawed. You know how many people cheat on a day-by-day basis? Wouldn't be able to count because there's so many. So by implying the writer as an incel, by the fact that they wrote something that actually happens in real life, demonstrates that you have a lack of self-awareness of how the real world works. And I would ask that you probably go outside and touch some grass, bro. Yes, I'm being savage, but when you say dumb shit like that, I'm gonna call you out.
But
use some common sense.
And through that, I think that fits exactly sort of like one of the Be Right Back songs that are now on there. If you're calling it pre-watch or you're saying stupid shit about Mushoku Tensei or any anime, you got the IQ of a peanut, dude. That's all we're gonna say. Like, at that point in time, like, you have literally, like, you know, and it's for those individuals, especially that, like, we'll take this episode and we'll try and run and, like, showcase, like, oh, this is all negative, this is all the bad stuff. Like, no, like, this show is showcasing a lot more of, like, actual humanity and what humans go through to try and, like, connect with one another and the shitty history that it can be. versus some other ones where it's like, hey, I can go ahead and like come back for the 8,000th time and try and go ahead and get you to be my perfect waifu, SP. Can I do that for you? Oh my god. I can make sure I hit all those boxes for you and then, make sure that like even though you're stunted at 12, I can make sure that you're A-okay. Any anime, even the real bad ones. There's some really bad ones out there, but nonetheless, like every anime out there has like a very interesting like lesson or something that we can take away from it. Oh, so what happens in the light novel between Rudy and Roxy?
I mean, it's pretty much the same on that part. There's just like little bits and pieces that are pruned out, like Eleanor Lisa's kind of encouragement of kind of insinuating that Roxy should make the first move kind of thing because, consoling, he needs a woman's touch to kind of help him rid of his grievances and kind of stuff like that. Bit of self-reflection as well on that end as well. So it's not like I was mostly joking when I said I was upset with the episode because it is a really good episode and it's done a really good job. It's only pruned out stuff that's like super non-critical and it's hinted it in little ways, but that's just the one thing I really liked because it was the one thing that kind of stood out was Eleanor Lisa's little nudge for Roxy, because Roxy's always that timid one that wouldn't make the first step unless kind of encouraged, and Eleanor Lisa and Roxy do have a bit more of a close relationship.
Right.
Kind of like bros before hoes kind of thing, even though Ellen Lease would be the type that'd be like pushing her to actually, get some action.
So I guess...
Other than that, I think the episode is pretty spot on. It's just, I mean, with these kinds of things, Mushoku Tensei has a lot of stuff where it's self-reflection, where characters think inside their own head. So that kind of stuff always gets cut out.
Right. And I mean, even with that, we have like a 22, 23 minute timeline. Hate to put it this way, but like, what are you cutting to make that fit at the end of the day? Like, and that's something a lot of people seem to just completely disregard when they're like, oh, well, they cut off so many things from like the, the novels or whatnot. And it's like, yeah, no, they might have, absolutely true. But, and here's the big but, you only get 12 episodes or 24 episodes with 23 or 24 minute content. What else would you cut instead of what they cut? And that is a key thing to put into consideration. The ending? Coffee, the ending? They cut off Elise talking about pregnancy. But even through that, here's the thing. Unfortunately, you have to think about it through like a marketing or even like a perspective like that. Let's say that you're at home, that this pops up on your TV. Maybe you're not a religious fan. How would you know that the anime is on? How do a lot of people know that the anime is on? I'll be honest, for Dragon Ball Z, it was whenever I heard the opening. Whenever I heard that the opening was on, I would like immediately be like, okay, oh shit, Dragon Ball Z is about to start. Or any other anime for that reason. Yeah, that's the who watches TV. A lot of people in a lot of other places do. I know a lot of people from like third world countries. And I don't even gotta go that far. A lot of people in Mexico watch TV. A lot of people in the US watch TV. Not necessarily in Japan. There you go. Not necessarily like going on Crunchyroll or like not necessarily like old style TV. They still have smart TVs, but still. But anyway, so any points that you want to bring up that maybe shocked you that you liked about this episode?
I mean, I'm not shocked about anything in general. I just think they did a really good job at the sort of Rudy's kind of at the beginning, kind of remembering his past life and the facial expressions of the grievances itself and how Roxy and Rudy go about it. I mean, they did it, but they don't need to show it kind of situation.
Right.
I think it's kind of sad because it is coming to an end. We've got one more episode and then that's the end of the season. So it's one of those where it's kind of like this is the wind down now. The kind of the winding down. The last episode will be interesting.
Hold on.
I feel like the next episode will be where most of the controversy might be.
I'm going to bring this up because I feel like you should be a part of this. I'm now looking through my Twitter really quickly, and this is the first thing I find. I feel like this is a call out to me, but this is going to be fucking funny. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. What? Four kinds of people after Mushoku Tensei season 2 episode 23. The militia on Twitter, the temple of Roxyism, light novels readers that they finally see the Dillo, the goat pet, then the therapist that can explain why grief can be solved by sex in some cases. But sadly, militia not gonna listen to it. Fucking goated. Holy shit. I'll give them that. Yeah, that's a pretty good shit. That is some pretty good shit. That Psyculturist reference, the Endless Void. The fourth Rick. The fourth one is true. I watched that guy. Oh no. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Oh, let me go ahead and bring it up. Bring you back up. Hold up. There we go. Bottom two are you in chat. That's so good. That is so good. Milla's followers seething. Interesting though. Interesting that like I don't know, people see it that way. The whiteboard should have been the periodic table of kinks. Right. My main thing with this is Sophie gonna stay? SP.
Do you think she'll stay?
Because I know that they had a retweet it to see how the creator reacts. I'll retweet it. I'll fucking retweet it. I don't mind. That sounds funny. Well, I mean, my question is this: if she does stay, what would like? I know that they've had a conversation about it, right? Or they've had a conversation about like, oh yeah, like concubines or other things, right? Or earlier on in the season, but. This is considered full-on love and not necessarily concubines. So, I mean, is she going to stay or do you think she'll run away, in your perspective?
You're asking me a question that I already know the answer to.
Oh, no. Okay, going even further. How do I ask this? Will we ever see Roxy also have a child or come with child?
I mean, if, let's say, hypothetically, Rudy was to marry Roxy, whether Sylvie and Rudy broke up and then he hooked up with Roxy, or he married both, and they did it enough, I think the potential for a child with enough action in the bed is potentially high.
What's interesting
when
is
a man and a woman love each other really much, they create little rats.
What's interesting about this is you say if they do it enough times, but yet a lot of people can get pregnant off of just one time of doing it. So it makes me scared that at some point she'll be like, Rudy, I have your baby. And Sophie just fucking takes off running, being like, no! Like, there's a lot of fears that I have with this. A lot of fundamental fears. Okay. Let me ask this then. When we look at this, when we look at a scenario like this and we see it's all about bad timing, and true, Lena, so much is coming. How is this season going to end, or how do you expect it to end?
There are two ways that they'll go about it. Mm-hmm. I assume they will end with Rudy returning home to his family. What happens when he walks in the door and his sister sees what's happened and Sylvia sees what's happened and Roxy's there and the whole family's there and how they all resolve this issue that has arisen? That, I think, will be part of the ending of this season. I do really hope that the final scene does show the teaser of the rat.
Oh no. Oh no.
I hope to God they do it, because it'll be the perfect way to end it. And if they're willing to troll with things like Father's Day, they're willing to throw in the rat as the final piece of a resistor at the end.
If I see the rat, I'm gonna break my fucking keyboard. I'm gonna break my fucking keyboard if I see the rat just scurry through the screen.
This is the thing, Ed. You won't know that it's the rat. Chat will know. You won't know. They know exactly what I'm referring to when I say they'll tease the rat, but you won't. And then you'll sit there and you go, "Oh, this is interesting," and then your chat's just gonna go, "Rat," and then you're gonna go, "Oh fuck."
And no, can you buy another ASAP? No, which is why I'm probably gonna throw one up in the throne just for safety. Because I guess it comes in the aspect of this, which is if you're saying the rat is gonna appear in there, and then previously in our conversations, you're like, oh no, the rat's not really there. The rat's not gonna know. Rat's not gonna appear till season 3 or season 4. In comes in my question then. This is gonna be a real fucking question here. I'm looking you directly in your fucking eyes. You ready? Does the rat come from the place that the Hydra was at? With all the fucking, stuff.
The rat is the greatest evil of all time and the greatest destroyer of Rudy.
So is the rat man god?
The rat is many things.
Oh no. Oh no. Don't fucking say that, man. Don't say that. No. What do you mean the rat is many things? What do you mean the fucking rat is many things? The rat is... Is the rat metaphorical though? In chat, we're getting all fucking like English literature level. Like, is the rat a metaphor for what may come out of a scenario like this? I guess even past that. Let's take that. I'll put a pin on it. Do you think people are gonna drop Mushoku Tensei from today's episode?
I think most people that didn't like Mushoku Tensei have probably stopped watching it or just hate watching it just so they can whinge. So I don't think those people will quit. If they hate watching it, they'll keep pushing because they need something to whinge about every week. So I don't think really much is going to change on that end. I do think there might be a pretty heated argument once season 3 comes along and certain events play out, because there's some stuff that gets pretty heavy and some pretty heavy themes that might make some people feel very uncomfortable that are anime only fans. But I think a lot of the Mushoku Tensei haters already know what's coming. They're just waiting for those episodes so then they can then jump on it and go, oh, well, this is what's wrong with it.
Sure. And I guess through that, I don't really get the point of hate watching a show. Like, I know that there are communities out there that's like all they focus on, but if you focus on the aspect of hate, like, are you really growing as an individual or like expanding your horizon if you're only looking at something to like completely fucking destroy it or completely try and go ahead and like wince at it, everything for the clicks, I guess. But this would have made me drop it. Oh yeah. But my thing is, and here's my main point: if characters don't fuck up, how would you have an interesting story? And this just goes overall. Like, if characters don't have flaws and they're not like, because these characters aren't perfect, and this is what makes a really good fucking story, is the fact that they're not fucking, perfect. Otherwise, you have the same repetitive, like, for example, a lot of the isekai trash that is out there, same repetitive shit, OP pro tag that gets a harem, right? And all of their issues are very much like, like cookie cutter, like you could just go ahead and place it anywhere from any show and they would probably fit the bill in some way, place, or form. With Mushoku Tensei, you got to think about it a little bit more because it's a little bit more realistic because they have the issues, because they have very much flawed characteristics the way that most people do. And I think that's what makes
it one of the reasons why I get really annoyed with the AniTube community that whinge about this, because they whinge that, all these isekais, all these animes feel so generic and boring. And then the next minute we get these kinds of series like Mushoku Tensei and that, and then they complain, oh no, we can't have these kinds of things in a story. And it's like, okay, well, if you strip all of the things that you're saying aren't allowed in a story, then you're back to just the isekai trash that you're complaining about. So it's like, what do you want? do you want the bland isekai trash, or do you want the Mushoku Tensei kind of stories? A Goblin Slayer, which isn't an isekai, but it's got a more dark and gritty story to it. Like, there's these stories that are dark and gritty, got human elements, generic blandness, and it's this constant thing that annoys me where they complain about both, but they don't want, and it's just like there's no happy medium. You either have to have one or the other, all or nothing. And I don't think that's ever going to change. I think that's how they get their views and how they get their content going, but it's just very hypocritical, and I don't understand how people latch onto that and go, yes, this is a reasonable take. It's like, no, it's self-destructive and hypocritical.
Right. Well, I mean, even through that, I think a big aspect that I pay attention to is like, what are the publishers, whatnot, focusing on more? Are they focusing on the figurines of the show, or are they focusing more so on the characters in that regard, right? So, for example, I know that they have the Roxy statue, right? But they also have, what, Eris in a bikini, I believe? Like, that was very fucking controversial. That one, yeah.
What one are we talking about?
I was like, that one, yeah, the one that you have right there. But like, if you compare it towards like other things out there, what do they focus on? For example, ReZero, right? For a good period of time, all they were throwing out was like Rem figurines, Rem and Emilia figurines up the wazoo, in a bikini, in a cat maid outfit, in a cat maid outfit, in a cat maid, but now she has a cute ear that turns around and she has a tail that you don't know where that connects to, in a bikini, but now the bikini is softly white and pink, and you can kind of, you know, and it's like all they just keep throwing out there are like the very similar figurines. It's like, I get it, you're trying to make money. Makes fucking sense, all right? Like, I'm all for it. Go knock out. But in some scenarios, whenever you have like a really standard, like, you know, isekai story, that's all they fucking do is like just focus on like the figurines. Do you really think that like the anime is going to be that good? Which, by the way, I have my RAM over there, so in case some of you guys are like, oh, he's shitting on ReZero. I love ReZero. I have my RAM figurine over there. I just say it because it's pretty fucking obvious when you go into like a store and all you see are like 1,001 rems and different styles, and they're all kind of sexualized in some way, and you're like, huh, I guess Rem is a really, really good seller. Roxy advertising the show. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Alrighty. Well, anything I should know or I should prep for next week?
Nah. You gotta go into a blind. It's gonna be a good down wine episode. As long as they tease the rat, I'll be happy.
So that's gonna be your standard. Is if they tease the rat, you're happy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Because pretty much I know what will be in the episode. There's not much really they can cut, and most of the stuff they'll have is the bread and butter basics of how this volume ends, which is the resolution for everything. I know a lot of people have been like, oh, but what about Eris? Eris is probably in an OVA. Because I think some people thought that Eris would be in the final episode, but I mean, they might show Eris at the end. Maybe a little like 5 seconds of maybe her somewhere. But I feel like they'll save her for an OVA.
You're making me question so much stuff here. Hold on. Or season 3, episode 0. Has an OVA been confirmed, actually?
I've heard rumors that there is an OVA. I think there's a Mushoku Tensei. I forget now if there's a Mushoku Tensei event coming up soon. So they might announce an OVA then.
Not confirmed, just rumors. Okay.
Yeah.
But my main regard is, man, it's been one wild fucking journey sitting through Mushoku Tensei, going through this journey with you. We have one episode left, and then we switch on over to 1,001 other anime because we have Oshinoko and we have ReZero and all of these other shows coming up. Are you excited for anything in the upcoming season?
I am excited for more table episodes of Reincarnated as a Slime because I've always yearned for the idea of a business meeting transformed from an anime. I love fucking pissing off the slime community. It's become my personal hobby now. I'm actually looking forward to Cafe Maid Terrace season 2. More peak.
More peak.
I actually need to get back into the manga on that. I need to catch up on it. Fuck, I love that series.
Well, I was gonna say I'm excited for Oshinoko. That's my big one.
That too. I'm looking forward to Oshinoko.
I'm excited to see whatever you guys vote on. Which, by the way, it's 10 series. Voting starts next week for those of you guys that want to replace the other series. Today,
Also, I'm gonna watch this because I really want to understand what the fuck drugs you are on, kids. My dear friend No Tan. I want to know what the fuck that series is about and why everyone's so obsessed about deers.
oh no,
I've seen so many clips and videos of people memeing about it. I'm like, what the hell is going on with this series? There's like explosions randomly and deers just like ambushing towns or something. I'm like, what the hell?
You're like, what is really fucking happening here? What? No, I was gonna say in that regard, because the mods keep trying to pressure me to go ahead and watch it. Right there, you go. Now you got chat fucking doing it.
Yeah.
And the third one, I guess, is I guess movies. You guys have six things to vote on. Number 1, today, go on the Discord, vote. We have Perfect Blue, Paprika, Madoka Magica: The Rebellion, Kaguya-sama: Love is War, and Violet Evergarden the movie with Elden Ring. Those are your 6 choices. Vote. This is for this coming Friday. For next Friday, we have Overlord, Oregairu Season 3, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Dungeon Meshi, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I think we also have Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night, 86, Attack on Titan, and then we have what else? We have Code Geass, and then one other one. So, ladies and gentlemen, make your voices heard. Cyberpunk Edge Runners. There you go. Make your voices heard and vote. Vote. It's important. All you need is your Discord username. I'm excited, man, because for me, it's like Oshinoko, whatever they vote, and then probably the deer one, depending on how it does. So it's more than likely going to be like a stacked season. But then ReZero comes along. And
Yeah.
and ReZero has Arcane with it. So that's going to be like a double whammy, just one after the other.
I mean, I think I'm watching around 15 animes or so this season, but the most ones that I'm really looking forward to are Cafe Maid Terrace, Oshinoko. I am also looking forward to the Russian one. Alila sometimes hides her feelings in Russian. I love my romances, so I want to watch that.
Sure.
And Our Last Crusade and the Rise of a New World, because I liked Season 1, so Season 2 is returning. That's a Romeo and Juliet style story with an anime spin.
Actually, question. What is the anime about? Like, everyone on fucking Twitter is freaking out about like, my wife is an elementary schooler or some shit. Like, what
it's my wife reincarnated as a elementary school girl, or I forgot the exact name of it. Chat will bring it up, what the exact name is. But it's actually a really good story. I haven't actually read it, but it's basically the story is the main character is the husband who his wife dies and he's got a kid, and his wife reincarnates as a elementary school girl, and she basically helps her kid or her child and her husband move on from her death. So they never get together. She basically helps them move on, and then she goes her separate way because she's been given another chance as a life. But the story is also very self-aware of the weird nature of it, because there's parts in it where he like screams stuff like, "Let's go on a date," and she just turns around and looks at him and goes, "Shut the fuck up." Like, not in public.
Right.
And then there's like another part where he like hugs her and she's just like, "You need to let go of me or you're going to jail." So it's a very self-aware story of what it's trying to have fun, but it's also got that undertone of like grievance and passing on and moving on in life in itself. So, but it's just because of how they title it, because it's literally the title is what the story is about. People kind of sit there and think, "Oh, I must think of the most highly inappropriate thing that's associated to this title," and then people were going around saying, "Oh, the writer should die because they're a pedo," and it's like, you didn't research what the anime is about, did you? It's like, nope.
It's like, clearly you didn't do enough research on that. But man, Yeah, I will say this though. Overall, anime has been fucking peak lately. With everything that we've touched on, with everything how it's been going on. Thank you to everyone that's joined. You guys are fucking phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I appreciate you all. Practice some self-care. Show SB some love. Go follow him at his spiritual analysis and everywhere else out there. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys are fucking amazing. Keep up that self-care. I love you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys on the Discord. Hope you guys like some of the new openings and shit.